answering the questions that most people get about Buddhism. And I'd like to start off with who the Buddha was. The founder of Buddhism, let's start with him. Buddha was a man, just like I and you, or you and I. Nothing special about him. He just had a desire to end suffering in the physical form and in the psychological form. So he came up with his own method. But before he could come up with his own method, he had to search for other methods that he could implement into his method. For example, I have a USB drive and I have a chip. Put them together, plug it into my computer, and it displays pictures. Well, what if I would like to have this, but I'd like to have a pen attached to it so that it's a little combo? Well, that's what the Buddha did. He combined them together to suit not only one sort of people, but to fit different type of people. And that's all he did. He just tied them together. Is there anything special about that? No, not necessarily in the physical form, but once you comprehend the meaning of Buddhism, then you could make your own decision. Buddhism is not the largest religion in the world, but it's growing. And some people say, oh, religion? Buddhism is a religion? It's up to you to decide, actually. All I can say is that it never intended to become a religion. It does not fit under the category of a religion because of the simple fact that it's lacking a God and a prophet. Therefore, it is not suitable to be called a religion. There's different sects of Buddhism. After the Buddha died, first of all, I'd like to say that the Buddha never ever wrote any books. Yeah? When he died, he didn't leave any books behind. He never wrote anything, like a Bible or anything like that. So just because of that fact, you can already understand and get the clue that he didn't intend for everybody to be Buddhist. He didn't intend to leave a book, and because of that fact, it is not a religion. If it was a religion, he would have left a book and he would have left instructions that it was a religion. He never said he was God, and he never said he was a prophet, and he never performed any miracles. This is the truth. How do we have Buddhist writings? They have been made up and developed throughout the years by Buddhist monks. Buddha did not write them. Next thing I would like to touch would be Tibetan Buddhism or Mahayana Buddhism. When Buddhism, the real Buddhism, which was just simply a philosophy, that Buddhism moved to Tibet, the Tibetan people already had a belief system. So if this is Buddhism, this is Tibet. So if Buddhism is going to travel to Tibet and make and influence that country, or whatever you want to call it, then Buddhism has to become part of their culture. Buddhism has to become part of the already pre-made culture and religion. So by that time, Tibetans already had their own beliefs in gods, and this is why Buddhism, in their philosophy, now is viewed as a religion. They're not wrong for it. Buddhism doesn't say it's wrong. Buddhism allows you to do just whatever it is that you want to do. Just think of the consequences, that's it. People make such a huge deal out of it. It's not a big deal. Do not defend Buddhism if you're Buddhist, because you would be already going in the wrong path. Yeah? If people talk bad about Buddhism, it is their freedom to do so. Put it down, that's fine. They're putting Buddhism down, they're not putting you down. And if they're putting you down by putting Buddhism down, then you're a lay Buddhist. Because you're not supposed to be attached to religion or philosophy or anything. This is the main teaching of Buddhism. This is the main sajan in Buddhism the reason to reach nirvana. The next point I'd like to make is there a God in Buddhism? I already answered that. What did Buddha say about God? This is one of the questions that people always ask. Well, first of all, let's take a look at what the Buddha was. Before he was a Buddhist, he grew up in a Hindu, basically Hindu Brahmin religion, and in that religion they worship different gods. Buddha didn't worship any gods, though it is said in one of his tales that he said, "Does God need help?" And we know that all other religions try to help God by spreading the word of God, right? Buddha said, God may need me to do something. God needs people to help him or allow God to work through him. But that's not exactly what the Buddha said. The Buddha said, if God needs help, I will help him. If I need help, will God help me? It is said that the Buddha said himself that if you're Buddhist and you want to believe in a God, you can. And if you're Buddhist and you reject the fact that there is a God, you can. Buddhism does not tell you what you should or should not do. They're just suggestions. So I would like to clarify that for all the people. I am a very, very clear-minded person, and I'm going to say this. There's a lot of people out there that practice different sects of Buddhism. I'm not below any branch of Buddhism. I practice exactly the Buddhist philosophy without any name on it other than just Buddhism. Some people say, I'm Mahayana, I'm Theravada, I'm Sasen, I'm Chinto, I am Amitabh, I'm Pure Land. Why are you giving it branches and titles? You're just Buddhist. Oh no, I'm not just Buddhist. I am Mahayana Buddhist. I am Theravada Buddhist. I'm Sasen Buddhist. And this is where I come in and say, it's your life, you practice what you want. Buddhism doesn't say you can't practice that way. It is totally up to you. But do not say the Buddha was this and the Buddha was that. Matter of fact, I could care less for the Buddha. I could care less for him. I care about what he taught, that teaching, that the essentiality of essence of what he left behind is what I care for. I don't care about him. He said, don't look at the teacher, look at the teaching. Don't follow the teacher, follow the teaching. And here's one of the things that allow that tree to grow. The Buddha made a quote that said, don't believe anything. That's right, don't believe anything that anyone tells you. Whether the Buddha himself said it, whether a priest said it, whether your parents said it, whether a family member said it, whether your president, your emperor, your master, your king, it doesn't matter who said it. Unless what they're saying makes sense with your common understanding, or if it makes sense with your common sense. That's basically it. So if the Buddha's teaching doesn't make sense to you, don't believe it. Why? People make it so hard. And people think Buddhism is something out of the world. It's not. There's nothing special about it. Buddhism provides a way of life for someone to believe in God or not. It's their option. Buddhism doesn't say don't believe in a God or believe in a God. It's up to the Buddhist. It's up to the person. You can be Christian, you can be Buddhist at the same time. You can be a Muslim, you can be Buddhist at the same time. And people are failing to understand the message. There is nothing to understand, actually. Just inform. Keep yourself informed. And I don't want to get further on the teaching. It is quite large, yes. But there's nothing special about it.